Hit record and call the East Lyme Water and Sewer Commission public hearing to order. This is June 25th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. If you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, this is a public hearing for the purposes of listening and hearing the Pazz construction sewer capacity determination for property they're planning on developing in the near future. I'll note that the following notice or a notice was published June 14th and again on June 21st in the New London Day, or I guess it's just called the Day now, about this public hearing to commence at 6:30 p.m. The application for determination of sewer capacity filed by Pazz in construction regarding the property identified in the application is 90 North Brybrook Drive Road, identified in East Lyme Assessor's Map as 09.0 Lot 37. I guess we're ready for a public presentation, and then we'll solicit comments from the public.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Harry Heller. I'm an attorney with an office at 736 Route 32 in Uncasville, and I'm representing the applicant, Pazz and Construction. I'm going to hand out to you 8.5 by 17 or 11 by 17s of the plan that was submitted with the application. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you would be so kind to also leave one at the recording secretary's desk. We are recording this for video and for historic purposes.
This is the guy who owned the property right here, Grislewski.
Okay, yes, and then our recording secretary will make notes based on that.
They're ticket holders. They have they paid an assessment.
Thank you.
As I indicated to you at your May meeting when the application was accepted, this application was filed under the new sewer capacity allocation ordinance that was adopted by you earlier this year. However, because that ordinance is on appeal, we are also asking that you consider this under the regulations that you acted on historically before the new ordinance was adopted. Because the new ordinance contains specific parameters with respect to the submission and evaluation criteria, we'd submit to the Commission that the standards are more defined and the requirements are more stringent under the new ordinance, so that if you find that it meets your criteria for the allocation of sewer capacity under the new ordinance, you should also find that it meets it under the regulations that you operated under previously. The request is for an allocation of 35,400 gallons of sewer capacity in conjunction with a proposed affordable housing project located on the westerly side of North Brybrook Road, between North Brybrook Road and Interstate 95. In accordance with your ordinance, we submitted with the application both the plan that I have just handed out to you and that you have on the board in front of you, as well as an A2 survey of the entire property owned by Pazz and Construction. The proposal which you're considering this evening and as portrayed on the preliminary site development plan is for the development of the easterly portion of a 20.24 acre parcel. We are not proposing development at this time on the westerly portion of the property and are not asking for an allocation of any sewer capacity for that portion of the property. This property is located both within the sewer service area as depicted on your sewer service area plans, as well as within the sewer shed area. The property has a positive grade to North Brydebrook Road. As I'm sure you are aware, you have existing municipal sewer on North Brydebrook Road, and the plan is to interconnect the proposed 108 units in phase one of the development of this property with 236 total bedrooms into that existing sanitary sewer main by the installation of gravity mains on the property, which will extend across North Brydebrook Road to your existing sewer main, which is located easterly of the road itself. The proposal is, in our opinion, consistent with the plan of conservation and development of the municipality, although it is not consistent with the zoning. We've spent some time in evaluating the development of your sewer service area plan, the sewer shed plan, and affordable housing plan, which was developed in conjunction with the 2009 adoption of your most recent version of the Plan of Conservation and Development and the Plan of Conservation and Development itself. And based upon an overall reading of those documents, although there are some inconsistencies, we would submit that this is consistent. One interesting thing, if you read the affordability plan, is that the affordability plan addresses the current demographics and how residential development is impacting municipal finances. Although I realize that's not within the scope of your commission, you have referenced the Plan of Conservation and Development in the evaluation criteria in the new ordinance, so I thought it was appropriate to speak about it a little bit. But based upon the 2008 criteria that were considered in the affordable housing study, an affordable housing unit is generating about 3/10 of a school-age child per unit. The more current data that we have, because your Plan of Conservation and Development is in the process of review and revision now, as it's required to be every 10 years, the statistics we have more recently are that it is even less. It's about 2/10 of a school-age child per apartment unit. So this project is a net revenue generator for the municipality, whereas traditional single-family housing was always thought to be a tax burden on the municipality. This is good development. We feel that you should seriously consider an allocation of sewer capacity. It's proposed by a local developer who has a track record of building quality projects in the town of East Lyme and maintaining quality projects. This property is appropriately situated for this type of development. It's in close proximity to the East Lyme recreational facilities on North Brydebrook Road, and is also in close proximity to Rocky Neck State Park. So we would submit that it is an attractive and desirable location. Affordable housing is not low-income housing. Affordable housing under the affordability statute, 8-30G of the Connecticut General Statutes, requires that 15% of the units be made available for residents who are at or below 60% of the household median income, and that another 15% be made available for residents who are at or below 80% of the household median income. In East Lyme, the 60% number is a little bit north of $50,000, and the 80% number is about $66,000. So this is housing that is available to a large segment of your population. Again, if you read your plan of conservation and development, it indicates that there are a significant number of residents in your community who do not meet the affordability standard. So this has the potential for providing good, affordable housing for residents within your community. That's my presentation. If the commission has any questions, I'll try to address them.
So I'll thank you, Mr. Heller. Very specifically, we want to ask questions tonight based on what was said and based on the primitive plan in front of you, appropriately primitive.
Yeah.
At this stage in the game, there's no offense made by that. It's a preliminary request. We're very specifically focused in on sewer capacity here. So if there are any questions for the attorney, we'll bring that up now. Otherwise, when the town makes fills in the gaps and gives us more information at what I would guess would be our next meeting, we might have more questions for the engineers about available capacity, how this plays, etc. But any questions? Yes, Mr. Mingo.
Mr. Heller, did your client pay a sewer assessment on this property?
I'll let my client answer that. Jason?
The previous owner, I paid sewer assessment on the property.
If you look at the sewer service map, it says connected, which I would assume, even though there are no buildings, that means some assessment
I'm
was
going to give you a
paid.
little bit of history. I've been on this commission for 50 years. This is the first time I've ever seen this, number one. Number two, you are entitled to sewers. You are ticket holders. We have no choice, in my opinion, to grant you capacity if we have capacity available. That is it. This is all a total waste of my time to listen to this. I was on the Wetland Agency. I was on the Conservation Commission. This is the sort of thing that we saw. This has no bearing whatsoever on how we make a determination on sewer capacity. It is a total waste of time. Your client had to waste money to have you come here tonight, and I think it's a travesty. That's as far as I'm going to go. That's what I got to say about all this. It's a dog and pony show.
Anyone else have any questions for the attorney? Yes.
Do you have a calculation for the basis of the 35,400 GPD?
It's on the handout that I gave you. There's a table there that has the number of units in each building, the number of bedrooms,
These
and
old
it's
eyes-
based on the
these
state
old
health
eyes
code,
don't see that
150
too.
gallons per
Now
bedroom.
it's, yes, thank you.
Good calculation there. Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you. How would you like to proceed, Brad? Would we like to continue this to the, I'm sorry, Mr. Zamarka, do you have anything to add from your legal side? Obviously, we're following our regulations.
Right. No, not at this point, Mr. Chairman. If the staff presentation is going to be held over to the next meeting, if we're going to continue, the applicant has already graciously given us a 30-day extension. And just along those lines, we need to be mindful that that means the decision has to be made no later than August 30th of this year. I guess if the chair wanted to, if the commission wanted to, you could invite members of the public to make any comment they might have at this point based on the applicant's presentation, and reserve time for the public and of course the applicant at the next hearing as well.
I meant to reiterate what Mr. Pazz said because he wasn't on microphone, and for the record, so we pick it up later, his response to the question was he did not pay, but the previous owner or a previous owner had paid the sewer assessment for that property. So I just kind of want to put that on record, so we pick that up. Is that about right? Did I get that right? Yeah, I want to make, also put words in your mouth. Okay, so we're confident, or at least the testimony is that a sewer assessment has been paid. Would anybody from the public like to speak on this particular case? This particular case? Anyone? Going 3 times. Okay, I could take a motion to continue the public hearing to our next scheduled meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any comments? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? And we're out. Yes, yes. We'll gather up our things for 2 minutes and we'll call the next one, or 30 seconds even. Do you need to?
Continue.
We continue the public hearing. Are you good with, I'm not good with the camera, that's for sure. Okay, yeah. That's true, we just keep recording it.
You
We'll
know,
just keep recording it.
for the record,
We're not posting it.
you never asked if there's anybody who was voting against the public hearing. I voted to close it.
Okay. So for the record, it was everybody but one was a motion to close. Everyone but one can continue the public hearing. We're gonna,
It's not the vote to close it, because that wasn't a motion.
that wasn't a motion to vote, no. Right. Thank you. So I'll call the regular meeting to order. We've already had the Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll go to the approval of minutes, the regular meeting of May 28th, 2019.
Second.
I got a motion, I assume I got a second down there?
Second.
Okay. Comments, corrections? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay. So then we'll go to delegations. Would anyone like to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Trocchi. I live at 22 Blue Heron, and I would just like to speak about Black Point Beach Club Association.
Sure, could you
that I
spell your
live in.
last name, ma'am?
Trocchi, Trocki.
And that, what's the address?
22 Blue Heron,
Okay, I just want to get that on the record because that's part of it.
Trocki.
Do we
So-
have the microphones on?
Yes, they're on.
I mean, it's not being amplified.
It is now. Go ahead.
So I would like to address the board and ask them to reconsider something that I came across. And first of all, I'd like to start with this subdivision regulations about the water system and the sewer system. And on 810 water system -2, it says the principal water main and mains in any subdivision shall be sizable to provide for future expansion, except within coastal waterfront areas where mains shall be designed to accommodate existing land use only. The size of all mains shall be approved by the Town of East Lyme Water and Sewer Commission. On 811, it talks about the sewer system, and it says the applicable, any planned sewerage system, whether public or private, shall be installed in accordance with the construction plan and shall be in conformity of any regulations and the public health code of the state of Connecticut, and as approved by the town department or corporation having jurisdiction. I live in Black Point Beach Club Association, and my understanding is in our charters, the street right-of-way is a strip of land of Black Point Beach Club Association that is granted through an easement and or a mechanism of transportation purpose such as a street. Additional land abutting the paved streets may also be reserved for the purpose of maintaining and the expansion of existing services with the right-of-way that is considered the part of the right-of-way. And so in the second section, in our in our association's chapters, it says to restrict the right-of-way upon the property of the said association, Black Point Beach Club Association, having jurisdiction to the use and benefit of said association. So all our roads and stuff in there are supposed to benefit our association because it was cut out from all the farmland. We are our own municipality. And within that municipality, I understand that they made our area, especially map 2 of 2, that when they put in the water system and the sewer system, it was just for our benefits within our association. And so it's come to my attention that it should be an exclusive service agreement made for us and filed somewhere at the clerk's office. And so in our charters also, well, it says, nothing herein shall be construed or authorizing the board or the association to change by regulations, restrictions, and deeds, and nothing herein shall impair the sole exclusive right of the Shore and Lake Corporation, its successors and assignees, which would be us inside there, to install or maintain water pipes and sewer in the streets of the said maps that I referred to. And I know that there's some amendments to that, but I'm not quite sure how to follow through the amendments that were changed. But my real issue is that there's a piece of land in Old Black Point that abuts our association, and they are trying to cut through, and they are not a sewer approved area. So 212 Old Black Point Road is coming through and saying that they are West Lane, or really in all the applications, they're writing down West Road. And according to the map here, West Road would be up here. In a lot of the applications, it's referred to as West Road. And we're down here on West Lane. And so it says that if there's any questions about the boundaries, the location of the boundaries, if it's in the middle of a street, then they can cut the districts, but we're our own municipality with our own district of our own zoning. And so this is the map that I'm talking about that Harris W. Bond owned before West Lane was even made. It doesn't even exist yet. And that's the boundary line of where Old Black Point property is that they're trying to cut in this area here. And it will say that we have 669.5 feet there, and that property has 676.54. So they only have 5 feet and 4 inches to come in to that area. But because we have a reserved strip in there of 625, they're trying to say they have a right-of-way of 52 feet to get in, which they don't. And there's supposed to be a stone wall there. They've removed the stone wall, and we've been told by Mr. Nickerson that they won't replace that stone wall until after the construction is being worked on or whatever it is. But I just feel that if you see this picture up here on the diagram of what they're trying to propose through our association, it lies in Old Black Point, and this green part is Black Point Beach Club Association, which is outside of our area. And here is another piece of paper that shows in an orange outline of where that land lies, and we're the pink area, and they're not in our association as well. And even on this map, it shows how Old Black Point is the green area and we're the pink area. And this is the GIS map that shows this is the property that they're trying to develop of 12.16 acres of land there by coming through our Bond Street and our West Lane property, which we're our U12, which is very unique, and it's not anywhere else in the town. And they are R40, and they're trying to put in a cluster development or a conservation development. Again, because we have that GIS map, it shows that we have 669.5 feet, and they only have 676. Again, it's only the 5 feet. This here is part of the file that they have in the planning board, and it says that it's 212 Old Black Point Road, and they're trying to get into a different way. And they have a stone wall that they've removed, and their easement is within their property. It's not to come out of their property. And we have another easement over there that is only supposed to be used for wires and poles, meaning electricity. And when somebody tries to use an easement other than what it was made for, it's overburden easement, and it was not what the reason that they stopped that exact that reserved spot again. So I would just like to point out that in that section 23 where they want to do that conservation development plan, it says that the conservation development plan must otherwise comply to all respects of the zoning, and the conservation plan must also follow the subdivision regulations. And this board, I believe, has said it was okay and it complies with everything here, so they can get sewer when they're not even in a sewer area. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. We'll,
Copies of all that stuff for the minutes? Are we gonna need to get copies?
generally,
of all
no.
those?
Generally, you don't do that in a public delegation thing. It's just based on public testimony. We will not consider the allocation of the sewer capacity this evening, as the public hearing was continued. Billing adjustments, there are none. I'll ask Mr. Cargill, you want to move some things around on the agenda, and you also want to dismiss Attorney DeMarca. Is that true? Is that correct? Are we good with?
Yes, I think Attorney Zamarka has something to discuss on one of the lower items on the agenda.
So we should move him up.
Meter deposits, item 11.
So we want to move that up, and then we'll talk about the tie and bond being moved up as well. It would be okay, and I'll ask for a motion to move up item number 11 to, right now, 5A, because that's where we're at.
Second.
And it's seconded. Any comments? Any opposed? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so let's go to meter deposits and the discussion on possible action, which is number 11 on your agenda.
Yeah, so, I was just talking to somebody who's about the background. So in your yellow folder, I put there is something in there.
I'm going to call time out. Should I stop the recording? Are you okay now? So I'll stop the recording.